is going to be rocking the blue note. And Nick Leddy, well, he's gone.
Hey, this is Brandon Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on LOB, we're going to talk about some more moves that went down. You heard it in the tease that I did. Pius Suter is a St. Louis Blue, and Nick Leddy, well, he is no longer with the Blues. We're going to discuss that. We need to address something about Jordan Kyrou. And, of course, the big question, are the St. Louis Blues a better team now? Now, there are rumors still circulating about a couple of potential moves that might happen, but there is so much to talk about in today's episode that with those rumors, hopefully some of which come true, and then I can talk to you about it tomorrow. You see how that works? So let's start off with some more things that went down. So I'm just perusing social media yesterday. I'm at my desk and I'm scrolling. And then I see something. The St. Louis Blues put Nick Leddy on waivers. Now, my first thought was, oh my goodness, did they watch the last Locked On Blues episode? No, but all jokes aside, I have nothing but respect for Nick Leddy. Thank you for what you've done. Time to move on. So it is circulating, and now it hits me. Doug Armstrong, and I knew he was going to do this, is going to make this team significantly better by shaking up the D-core, which was a much-needed decision. So thank you, Doug. Nonetheless, a team did pick him up, and that was the San Jose Sharks. He has 1 year left of his contract, $4 million. However, at the end of the day, San Jose could really benefit by having him. He's a veteran presence, and I did say on social media yesterday that I do believe the team that Nick Leddy will go to will be San Jose. And I even teased that in the video that I posted about me giving some predictions for the offseason. So I'm just saying, you heard it first here on Locked On Blues. But in all seriousness, it made sense. A team like San Jose, Anaheim, Boston, any of those teams would have really benefited from having Nick Leddy. But for the Blues, if they want to be a contender for years to come, they need to get younger and they need to get faster and stronger in every single type of way and not play a little bit lackadaisical when it comes to protecting the net. And that's all I'm going to say on that one. But I do wish every single player that used to play for the Blues good luck, because at one point you wore the blue note. So Nick Leddy, thank you for what you've done. We commemorated your 1,000th game of the NHL. I believe it was not this past season, but the season prior. So that was cool. You caught a fish like you like to go fishing. Other than that, thank you. Good luck in San Jose. I still hate the Sharks and the hand pass. Anyways, let's talk about some more positive additions to this team. So it was also announced yesterday that the Blues signed Suter. And no, it's not my Suter. It's not Ryan Suter. He's still available, but it is Pius Suter. And I have to tell you, I was actually watching a compilation video of him. When you have a cat, they knock things down. Oh my goodness. But I have 2 cats. But I was watching a compilation video of Pius Suter and his 25 goals that he scored last season for Vancouver. And I am so excited about what he can bring to the team. So, of course, I had to get some statistics, as you know, because I am all about the stats. He played 81 games last season. Again, 25 goals, 21 assists. So the 25 goals, by the way, was a career high. The 21 assists tied a career high. 46 points in total, career high. So to me, again, a positive. He spends about 17 minutes on the ice per game. So again, happy about that. He has posted double-digit goals in all 5 NHL seasons. He's a solid two-way forward, and he's trusted on the penalty kill, which is really important. So for the Blues, I still think that he is a top 9 forward. I think that he's going to fit in, honestly, spectacularly, if I even said that correctly, on the third line. Replacing, well, here's the thing. Replacing Foxa, right? But hear me out. I think Braden Shen is either going to drop to the third or I think the fourth line, honestly. More decisions will be made, but the Blues have a lot of centers, and Doug Armstrong did speak today, and he did say that it's easy to move a center man to the wing rather than moving a winger to center, and that's true with hockey. That's like hockey one-on-one. So, I mean, we could also see Shen playing on the wing, which I wouldn't be opposed to. What makes Braden Shen so valuable is him on the face-off, okay? So I'm a huge fan of Captain Braden Shen, but again, when I'm thinking about what is best for this team, I would go Suter on the third line as the third line center. Now, the big question comes, okay, where's Braden's place going to be? But obviously, at the end of the day, that's going to come within time, which is completely fair, right? And right now, his contract, and again, I just want to say this. If the Blues didn't move Nick Leddy, there would have been some problems with the cap. They would have been over the cap. However, with them putting Leddy on waivers, they're back under, so they're fine, okay? So anyways, that's why I wanted to say that before I told you the contract, because you might be like, oh my gosh, Haley, the cap space. It's fine for now. So it's a 2-year contract, $8.25 million. And then if you break it down by year, it is 4.125 AAV. And today, when Dougie A spoke to the media, he said, hey, 2-year contract, let's see how he does, and then we'll reevaluate and maybe potentially, sign him longer in an extension. And to me, that makes me really excited because obviously they see a lot of potential with him for the future. He is 29 years old. Now, it's funny, and I was kind of laughing, like, not like ha ha ha, but like 29, I know Doug said that's young. I'm 26. Okay, I feel old. Is that young? I don't know, but whatever. I mean, he's played 5 seasons, 29. So, I mean, he's a young 29, so it's fine, right? And honestly, it's low cost for what he brings. And you might be saying to yourself, Hale, it's still over $4 million. Okay. And he adds a lot to the ice. Not only is he solid when it comes to making plays offensively, like, he's good on the PK. He's good defensively. So when you think about it like that, there is a lot of upsides to having him on the Blues and a lot of upsides to what he is going to bring to this team. And I think that is the most important part right now going forward. And it's funny, right? There's a lot of statistics. And sure, he may not be the best when it comes to comparing him against all NHL, right? But for what he does, he is fine. And I think that when you have a player that is honestly so well respected on the penalty kill on a Canucks team, you have to seriously thank Doug for making this happen. And for me personally, that's one thing that I really wanted was for the Blues to get better on special teams. I want the Blues to get better on the PK and the power play. And towards the end of the last half of last season, the Blues were scoring a lot of power play goals. Evidently, they scored a ton in the playoffs, even though they lost that series. But they were making strides in the right direction. And again, they didn't have Dylan Holloway. So right now, I am feeling good about Pius Suter. Very excited to have him. And again, I want my other Suter, but I guess we got rid of one Suter for another Suter. There was no trade. I'm just saying, like, whatever. I don't want to confuse you. We need to have a discussion about Jordan Kyrou because I've been battling some of you on social media, on Twitter at Locked On Blues, And it's gotten to the point where my frustration is at an all-time high. And I'm going to talk to you about that. I am. But I want to talk to you about Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. What surprised me the most was I had to go to so many different apps just to manage my money. Now I just go to one, and that is Monarch. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Oh boy. Hi. I want to start off by saying this. I love that we all have opinions. I do. I respect it. I think that when we all have opinions, it makes the conversation interesting. If you disagree with everything I say, you're not going to want to maybe listen to this podcast or leave a comment because, again, you want to listen to something where you can think for yourself and say, hey, listen, I don't agree with that. This is my opinion. However, there comes to a point where the frustration about what is happening with Jordan Kyrou has got to a boiling point with me. So I'm pulling up the tweet now because I feel like at this point, especially at this point in my life, I have grown up a lot in the recent years. And I am also very understanding of some of the mistakes that Kyrou has made. A couple seasons ago, something said when Ruby was fired by Jordan Kyrou, and I was upset about it. Every fan was upset about it. A lot of people were upset about it. And I think for me, I reacted emotionally and I said that Kyrou was an issue, right? I think we all were annoyed with Kyrou. Jordan apologized. He cried, like he was very upset about how the whole situation was. And at that moment, I realized this is a good kid. This is somebody that cares about this fan base, this city. And from that moment, he played a different kind of game. He was playing for St. Louis. Now, again, his turnovers issue. I am not denying that at all about Jordan Kyrou. Obviously, there are some issues. But on social media, when every 5 seconds when I'm scrolling, I see a post that says, trade Kyrou, get rid of Kyrou, Kyrou isn't good. You do realize that he posted 30 goals last season. And I'll read you some statistics, okay? Like, we'll get into that. But I want to read you my initial tweet that got 28,000 reactions. This needs to be said. The forced Kyrou hate is insane. He put up better numbers than most of the other players on the Blues. It's great. He is great in the locker room and loves the city, and yet every day it's trade Kyrou or dumb narratives that bash him do better. So of course I got plenty of comments disagreeing with that take. Again, not going to read hate comments about Kyrou on here, but here are some statistics to educate you if you are a Kyrou hater on why I do support him, right? Last season, some regular season rankings. Goals, 36, tied for 16th in the NHL. Yeah. So out of all 32 teams in the NHL, when it comes to all players in the NHL, he was 16th. Think about that. Okay. When it comes to assists, 34, 92nd in the NHL. Okay. Points, 70, tied for 43rd in the NHL. And then plus minus, he was plus 23, tied for 26th in the NHL. But what's most impressive for me is seeing that 36 goals, tied for 16th. When a player is able to put up like 70 plus points in a season, and you're going to tell me that this is not a good player, there must be another reason as to why. And then there were some people saying, because I said, if Justin Folk gets moved, give Kyrou the A. And then there were some people that said, just make it Parayko and Thomas full-time. Wouldn't be upset about that. But then I had people commenting saying that Kyrou was an issue in the locker room. And all I can think is, wait, I have been in that locker room numerous times with my reporting. And I can't say enough good things about Jordan Kyrou. And then I'm getting told I'm biased. No, objectively, I've been almost in every team's locker room. I have been in plenty of locker rooms, and I have interacted with hundreds of NHL players throughout my 5 years. And you get a good sense of how a player is perceived in the locker room with the interactions, especially after a practice and not a game, because, again, some of them were after practices. Now, I can't speak for what goes on when I'm not in the locker room, right? There's a team that I do stuff with, and I spend a lot of time in the locker room. But again, I don't know what always goes on. But when you ask the players about the culture and how it is in the locker room, they give you nothing but positive, responses, and they genuinely mean it, because you can tell when someone's like kind of like, oh, yeah, we're a great culture, but they don't really mean it. You can tell. That is forced hate on Jordan Kyrou. When you are coming up with narratives about the fact that he isn't good in the locker room, how do you know how he is in the locker room? How do you know how his team perceives him? And then how dare you say that it's his fault for Craig Berube being fired? That to me is insane. I feel like he made a comment after the firing. Not okay, but he owned up to it. But again, I have been in hockey long enough to know that they would rather trade a player than fire a coach in most instances. Like, that's just the reality. It's easier to do that. I saw that with another team that I'm involved with. I don't understand the hate. And maybe it's because I see a lot of potential with him. I'm looking at his statistics. I actually don't understand the hate. And that's where I'm coming from. A place of confusion. So enlighten me. Tell me why you don't like Kyrou, to the point where I am seeing people say, trade him for a bag of potato chips. What is wrong with you? That is still a player representing your hockey team. He is a good guy. Oh, you don't know that? Yes, I do. You do know if someone's a good guy. Do you pay attention to what the Blues do charity-wise? Do you keep up with how he interacts with fans? Do you literally, and I'm trying to actually have a conversation with you, because I don't know where you're getting this narrative that this is a bad person. You don't have to like every player that represents the Blue Note, right? You don't. We saw how a lot of people felt about Torrey Krug, and I defended him. Maybe I'm just like the defender of the guys that people hate on. But nonetheless, he is still wearing the Blue Note. He is still contributing immensely to this team. In the past 3 seasons, he has posted 30-plus goals. And you're going to tell me that this is a player that you don't like? A player that deserves this? No player, by the way, deserves this type of hate, period. I don't care if the player was projected to post 15 goals and he only got 2. No player deserves the type of hate that Kyrou gets, period. You don't have to like a player, but when it gets personal and you act like you actually know how he is, that's when I get annoyed about it, because then it's not fun. We're not having then fun conversations. And I think for me, I have a platform. I was over the narrative of seeing trade Kyrou. He has a no trade clause right now that went into full effect. They're not trading Kyrou. They're not. And let's go say a couple seasons from now, the Blues win the Stanley Cup and Kyrou is hoisting that cup. Don't say, oh, well, all along I believed in him. No, you didn't. Because you are part of the problem. I'm not talking directly to you if this is not about you. I'm just sick of this narrative. And I'm sick of this I'm just sick of it. So we're going to leave it at that. You know what's funny? My tweet about Zach Bolduc, I said Bolduc being traded actually infuriates me. 106,000 impressions. And I have a mixed reaction on that one. But it's funny. We're talking about the Blues and if they're a better team now than they were previously. And yes, all things aside, yes. Now, am I going to sit here and say that I'm happy about all the moves that were made? No. No. And you know how I feel because I've talked about how I felt. Zach Bolduc was a player for me, and we all have those players that we really like. I liked Zach Bolduc a lot, okay? I am actually really upset about it. Like, it really sucks. So, it is what it is. Mailloux has a lot of potential, and I talked about him too. And this is another narrative. Somebody said to me, oh, but when you say things like trust me, you lose your credibility. When I am saying trust me, it's not because I am trying to make it seem like my opinion is the only correct one, but I addressed everything about what Logan Mailloux did back in Sweden, right? I mean, I don't have to get into that again. I addressed it. I gave factual statements as to what happened. Okay? I'm going to start off there. Factual statements only. I didn't make any assumptions, nothing. When I then said, trust me, Doug Armstrong wouldn't have traded for him if he didn't see the change within him. That's not me saying, oh, trust me, trust me. It is me being logical. No general manager is going to sign a player knowing, well, for the most, if you're not the Oilers, but for the most part, knowing that this person might create legal issues with your team. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, this whole narrative of people policing the words that are being said is ridiculous. Mailloux has a lot of potential. He played 7 games last season. Season prior, he was like an all-star for his AHL team. He has a lot of potential. And it seemed like to me from how Doug was speaking that he wanted to actually draft him in the 2021 draft. And again, who knows what the narrative would have been then, right? Things work out. He's here now. But I have nothing but excitement for his play. I really do. And I expect him to be an all-star. Maybe not like this season, but in a couple seasons from now. He's so young. He has so much talent. The way that the Canadian fans are talking about him gets me excited, okay? The Canadians are getting a great player within Zach Bolduc. A player that works hard. And I talk about the fact that during the Four Nations break, he actually went to Springfield, which is our AHL team, the Thunderbirds. And he played. He didn't take a vacation. He played. That's the type of guy Zach Bolduc is. And I'm going to miss the heck out of him. I am. I'm a huge Thunderbirds fan. And for me personally, I would travel to see the Thunderbirds play because a lot of the AHL teams are actually easier for me to get to. And I'm upset about it. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not. I was infuriated. When there's a player that you just see so much potential in, and you see them have an excellent second half of the season, and then they get traded, of course you're going to be upset. That's how I felt. And I stand by that feeling because it means that I care about the players on my team that I'm a fan of. You don't have to agree. Maybe he wasn't a player that you enjoyed or you liked, and that's okay. Just because we're all fans of the Blues doesn't mean we have to have the same opinions. Robert Thomas just turned 26 yesterday, and he's so young. I mean, we're the same age now. Again, we're still young, but there's a lot of positives happening in St. Louis right now, and I feel really good about it. I will talk to you tomorrow, and like always, let's go Blues.